so many of you have had John sing at your parties, and he is just so wonderful. But let's start at the very beginning. So you were born in the north of England, near Blackpool, I do believe.
In Blackpool, I was, yes.
Ah, there you go. And your interest in music started quite young, about the age of 6. So at that time, what instruments were you playing then?
I don't know if I actually put this on my website, but I was adopted, and my parents were very humble. So they didn't have much money, they couldn't afford, expensive teachers and that, but they were very resourceful. And when I was a toddler, my mum noticed that I would be singing the theme tunes to either adverts or television programs before they came on. And she thought, I think he's got a talent. What can I do? So being in the north of England, we had brass bands. So she took me down to the local brass band. The conductor laughed. I was about 6 years old. What are you bringing him for? And he started me on the tenor horn. Then I moved on to the cornet. And he soon kind of changed his tune. And he took me under his wing. He gave me music lessons, theory lessons for free, because he just could see something in me. And then he said, well, he needs to learn the piano as well. So I think I was about 9. I started learning the piano. And I did lots of what they used to call slow melody contests, where you have the examiners, they have a curtain in front of them, so they can't see who's playing. And you go on a whole lot of people, and then they mark you, player number 10 and what have you. And I had a whole lot of cups and trophies and all this sort of thing. So even though I didn't understand being a professional and making a living, it was just what I did. John was the guy who didn't play rugby. He played the piano and he played the trumpet, So that's the early years, anyway.
So can I just ask you? You were playing brass stuff, and then can I talk about what happened in your life that changed everything?
You can, yes.
So
Do you want me to tell you?
Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, I wasn't quite sure how far we got. So when I was about 11, that gentleman, Tom Birch, the conductor, he said, well, I can't teach him anymore. And again, being very, very resourceful, my mum went and looked at all these grants and scholarships she could get. And I auditioned to go Saturday mornings to the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester. Got in, and I had my lessons there, learned theory, composing, everything, singing, choirs, piano. And I had to change from the cornet to the trumpet. Which was pretty tricky, because the cornet and the cornet looks like a shorter version of the trumpet. But in the brass band, there's a tradition of having this kind of vibrato, type thing. It's just naturally what everyone learns to do. And for the first term I was there, I remember the trumpet teacher, he just had me on long notes. Very soul-destroying, Here I was at this music hall, and all I had to get my tone, trumpet tone. It obviously worked, because I must have been about 16, and I did my grade 8 trumpet, and I did a recital of Haydn's Trumpet Concerto at the Royal Northern College of Music. And then 2 weeks later, I was being an idiot with my mate on a bike, and lost control, went over the top of the bike, and a bike spoke went right through my lip. And I was rushed to Blackpool Victoria Hospital, and the doctor put stitches in. I do remember this, and he said, if you'd have been an hour later, I wouldn't have been able to see you, because it's Glasgow weekend. And as he said that, all these Glaswegians were being pulled in, there were hammers in their heads and all sorts of things that went on. So I was extremely lucky. I came home and I looked like the Elephant Man And I was sat there feeling very sorry for myself when the letter came through the door saying, you have got distinction, grade 8 trumpet, which was very sour, you know. But you see, things happen for a reason. Because I still play the trumpet a bit now. I've kind of got my lips, what we call our chops. I've got my chops back now. But I maybe wouldn't have become a singer and a keyboard player and a pianist. I would have been still trying to be a trumpet player playing in symphony orchestras, which would have been great, but it opened up a whole new world to me, really.
So when you were in London, you also
Yeah.
became involved in a jazz and pop, yes? And you were then were in a band called Jawbone.
Yes, so you notice the first 3 letters of that?
Jaw.
Yeah, which
John.
is John Anthony Watson.
Watson.
Okay.
Watson. So so when I got to 18, I got into the Royal Northern College of Music full time, but I also got into the Guildhall School of Music down south, well, where we are now, and I wasn't sure what to do. I thought, well, I know the North, I'll be nearer to my parents, you know, what shall I do? So I asked one of the professors up in Manchester, and he said, if you got in London, you go to London. He said, that's where you'll make your name, not up here. So I came down to the Guildhall, and at the time, Guildhall School of Music and Drama. It was brilliant because the musicians were able to work with the actors. You know, I performed and played in several shows, which was great experience. But also, they were still of an attitude that pop and jazz was, the chappies doing their poppy thing, you know, let them have their fun. And so we started this Jazz and Pop Society, and when we did recitals, they were the most attended recitals at Guildhall. And it was a bit like, if you remember Earth, Wind and Fire. So you had all the brass and the, guitar and drums, percussion, singers and what have you. I was on keyboards. The drummer was a guy who's still a very good friend of mine called Mike Lindup, who went on to be in a great 80s band called Level 42. And the others, they're all still professionals. They're either directors of West End shows and what have you. And that was good. And we were trying to think of a name for the band. And because we had the brass, I thought, trombone, what would work. And then I thought, oh, J-A-W, those are my initials, Jawbone.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And, they all went for it. They all went for it. So I named the band after myself, and they all went for it. But it was, it's funny how things turned around, because a couple of years after I left Guildhall, they actually started a jazz course. And then I got the phone call, can you bring your trio to be the backing band while we do auditions? Like when a sax player comes in, he's got a trio to play with and everything like that. And can you come and do a few master classes? Which, of course, I did. But I thought, isn't it ironic? They were so patronizing a few years ago. And now it's the best thing since sliced bread, So that's how I really started, yeah.
Okay. When did you eventually go solo, and why? And are there people that we might know you toured with?
Okay. Yeah, so when I left Guildhall, I was determined to make a career out of music. I did everything. I played for ballet classes, I played for keep fit classes, I taught little girls and boys. I just did everything musical, and I was already playing with a band that I'd started, not Jawbone, but kind of a semi-pro band that I'd started playing with. So I just kept on playing with them and doing more and more stuff. And the thing was, the band that I played with, they had a main singer, and so he started letting me do the odd song. I did backing vocals anyway. He started letting me do the odd song on my own. And then they would do things like, well, why don't you do the first 20 minutes, John, as a warm-up? And it became very apparent that I was starting to get more reaction when I was performing on my own. than I was with the band. So I started looking for different, avenues out. I think one of the first things I did was, do you remember there was a magazine for theatrical people called The Stage? I don't know if The Stage is still going, but they used to have adverts in the back, and it said, singer pianist wanted for piano bar in Ibiza. So I thought, oh, that sounds good. That'll be fine. So I rang up this number. I was all ready with, I went to Guildhall and I played piano and I'll do this and I'll all these songs. I was ready with everything to say. And the first thing the guy said to me, he said, "Are you married or in a relationship?" And I thought, was he trying it on with me? What's going on? And I thought, well, I was already with my wife-to-be. We were already engaged, and we'd met when we were 18 down in London. And I thought, I better be honest because this is going to come back on me. So I said, well, yeah, I've got a fiance. He said, well, that's it, I'm not interested. I said, hang on. I said, I've trained, I've got. He said, I'm not interested. He said, we send guys out there. He said, the deal is the guy sits and he plays and he sings. All the girls swoon around him, and then all the guys start buying the girls drinks, and the bar makes money, and everyone is happy. He said, whenever we have a guy with a girlfriend or something, the girl gets jealous of all the girls coming around the piano, and then they get nearer and nearer to the piano, and then the girls don't come, they get scared off, and then the guys don't buy them drinks. He said, so I only book single musicians. That was a big lesson to me, really big lesson. But then eventually I got a job in a place called the White Lion. It was a pub that had a nice PA system, grand piano, in the city. I would have never known there was somewhere like that. And I really learnt my trade because the people who went in, they were at the weekend when I played there, they weren't the city people from Barbican and all like that. These were the real East Enders, great train robbers, all people like that. And all very smartly dressed, right? And a lot of them would get up and sing, and you'd close your eyes, and you were listening to Sinatra, or you were listening to Fats Waller or something, because these guys, they probably worked as a market trader in the day, but they put their suits on, and so I learned so many songs, I sang so many hours. By the time I'd done that a couple of years, that was a real learning, And then I got my first, what you might call posh job. And that was a hotel by Lord's Cricket Ground. It's still there. It's called the Danubius now. But when I went there, it was Ladbrokes Westmoreland Hotel. And they made a piano bar, and I was the guy, And I must say that a lot of my private parties came from there. Because, especially on Thursday night, all the teenage North London Jewish kids used to come down and listen to me, got to know me. So I ended up playing for 18th birthday parties. Then I got paid for 21st birthday parties. Then I got the parents' anniversary. And now I'm starting to play for those kids are now middle-aged, and I'm playing for their sons or daughters' bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. It's amazing how that opened things up. So I think it was probably when I was playing there. Oh, by the way, that changed when Cyril Steen bought the franchise for Hilton. It changed overnight while I was playing there to Hilton International at Regent's Park. And it was while I was playing there, up the Finchley Road. There's a big thing now, and it has lots of restaurants, and I don't know what it's called, but
the O2 Centre.
The O2 Centre, okay. Well, before that was built, there was a really tacky Turkish restaurant called the Mediterranean there.
I've been there. I've been there.
Yes, yeah. Well, the thing is, it was a magnet for musicians as well as some interesting characters, because the live music stayed on till really late at night. So I think it was one Sunday night. I'd been playing at the White Lion that I mentioned to, and Carol, my wife, had come along to meet me, and we thought, well, we'll have a snack late on, and my friend Tim was playing at the Mediterranean, playing and singing. So I went there and had my back to Tim and looked round, and I could hear this lovely bluesy, jazzy vocal going on. Looked round at Tim, and he had that look on his face as if to say, I really need a break. Nobody's let me off the piano. And I was enjoying the singer so much that I just took over. And the singer had his back to me. And at the end of the song, we were doing a blues song, or something like God Bless the Child or something like that. He turned around and he said, I want your number. I want you in my band. And it was Lee John of a group called Imagination, 80s band. Well, we were in the 80s then. That was about 87. And I don't think Tim has ever forgiven me for that, my friend Tim. But that was it. And that's how I joined Imagination. And so I've toured, I've been to Brazil, Far East, all over the place with Imagination. That led to me playing with a group called Sister Sledge and recording with an artist called Desiree, and also later on with a singer called Misha Paris. One thing leads to another,
So in 1990,
Yeah.
you became the resident pianist at the
Yeah.
Four Seasons in
Yeah.
London.
Yeah.
And since 2009, you have been resident pianist and musical director in the Palm Court at the Langham.
Yeah.
And if no one has been there, and while we can go there, masks and all, it is amazing. John is amazing there.
Well, before we go any further, I'll just give you a little bit of news. And that is, I got a WhatsApp. I was made, they gave me notice in the middle of March. Obviously, the place had to close. Had a WhatsApp and a phone call from the food and beverage director, a Brazilian lady but called Karina, and asking me to come back. And I didn't say anything, but literally just before we came on, the email came in with the signed purchase order to say, from 1st of October, we're going to try. I used to put the music in 7 days a week, but for now, they're going to open the Palm Court on 1st of October and try music, which happens to be a Thursday, and try music Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you're the first people that I've actually told that's it. So you will have a chance to come in afternoon tea. And of course, the nice thing about afternoon tea is that it finishes before 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So you're all right with the curfew. So yeah, I'm really pleased about that. But yeah, 19 years at Four Seasons, that was an amazing experience. I met Tom Jones used to come and listen to me, the Cause, apart from the people that I worked with, I'm talking about people who just stayed at the hotel. And I had to be very careful what I said when I was there. If Chris Eubanks was sat next to me or something like that, I could not go out because there was always paparazzi outside. You could not go out and say anything to anybody, so that was an amazing experience. But they had a big refurbishment, so it took about 2.5 years. So again, everybody went, and I was doing Dorchester, Claridge's, Caprice, lots of places, and then suddenly got the phone call to say that after a refurbishment, history repeating itself really, after refurbishment, the Langham London, opposite the BBC, was reopening its Palm Court, and would I like to be the resident pianist? So that's been nice.
Great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You've also recorded and produced several albums, and more recently 2 chill out EPs covering many musical genres, including New Age, jazz, Latin and classical.
Yeah.
What inspires you when you're writing a song, and can we hear an original song?
You certainly can hear an original song. Before I introduce that song, inspiration, where does it come from? You know, does it come from God? Where does it come from? It comes from somewhere, and I don't know how it comes. And it comes for different reasons. Sometimes it's just a little idea. Maybe I'll be doodling on the keyboard. It's strange. Sometimes I wake up with a melody in my head. And the nice thing is now we've got mobile phones. I can just sing an idea into my phone and then maybe work on it later on. Or sometimes it might be a phrase somebody says to me. And you think, oh, I can make a song around that phrase. So it could be lots of things. I mean, while I was at playing at the Langham about 4 years ago, and there was a lovely couple. She was Vietnamese, he was Australian, and I, you know, they were very nice to me, clapping my music and everything like that. And they were so nice to me that I gave them a CD, one of my originals, and on this CD is the song that I'm about to sing for you. And they came back the next day and they said, we listened to your album straight away. We were so impressed. And they said something very interesting, because Lynne has mentioned that she likes my voice, but they said, oh, we didn't realize you were more than just a piano player, you know. Don't forget, they were really enjoying my music, but it was the fact that I'd got an album and I'd arranged it for drums and bass, and I was singing on it and all that sort of thing. And they saw me in a different light, and they immediately said, will you write a company song for us? And we sat down, we had a drink. They told me about their company, a big international furniture company based in Vietnam, factories in Vietnam. They've got another factory in Australia as well. And they told me about the story of how they reclaim words, and they, you know, they're very green, everything they do. And it really inspired me. And I literally went home, and I think my wife was away. I don't think anybody was in the house. And I got home from the Langham, and I literally walked in, threw down my bag. There was the grand piano, and I composed the song. That was it. I composed the song. I had to get a few extra lyrics to fill it out, but basically the song was there. I'm not going to sing you that one, but they flew me out to Vietnam when they had their 21st anniversary, and did put on a big show. They had a band from Australia, various singers, and me. I got a grand piano in for me. And at the end of the show, their choir came onto the stage. I get goosebumps when I talk about this, right? They came onto the stage, all in matching dresses, and a few gentlemen, you know, in the matching suits. And we struck up the band. I was kind of conducting in my head, you know, and playing along. And we had a professional singer who they asked to sing the song. They wanted this particular girl to sing the song as well. But they sang the first time through, they sang in Vietnamese. They translated it all into Vietnamese and then sang in English. And what got me, it wasn't just my ego of, well, here I am on this big stage with a band and this choir singing my song and everyone clapping. It was the passion that they put into this song. And then when they met me, then this was Mr. John who wrote the song. And every Monday morning, they all go out into the massive forecourt of their factory, and they have these big speakers, and they put the song on, and they sing it every Monday morning. Isn't that amazing? You know? So, as I said, inspiration comes from lots of ways. When it came to the EPs, they were done in lockdown. And the first EP in particular, because Chill Out, that's why I used Chill Out, that you have to have a label to put on it. It was because I'm very lucky. I live near countryside, you know. I'd been working very hard in and out of London, and I was actually feeling quite chilled, quite relaxed, quite spiritual. And I thought, you know, I've got the time to compose and write. And what I did, I just went in. This is my studio. You can see part of it on the screen. I just came in the studio, pressed record, and just played ideas completely from the heart. And then just kind of made them into songs and what have you. And so I wanted people to get that feeling that I was experiencing. And so many people have contacted me when they've been listening to that. these tracks and saying how it's helped them through lockdown. You know, they've been very worried and things like that, and they just listen to the music and it's just calmed them. It's taken them to a different place. So that's what all that was about. But I waffle on, don't I?
That's
No,
fine.
I
It's
love
like
you
so
waffling.
interesting.
You know, I love, well, yes, there we go. Going back to a song that I wrote while I was resident pianist at Four Seasons, and at the time I used to put on jazz nights as well, so I already had my jazz trio, and I decided to, I'd done some solo albums, I decided to do one with the jazz trio, and I wanted some originals, and I wrote this. And this really is the story of my life. If you listen to the lyrics of this song, you have to close your eyes and you have to imagine that you are walking on to the first floor where the bar was in Four Seasons Hotel on Park Lane. And there's this guy in a tuxedo playing. Sometimes there's businessmen there, sometimes there's pop stars, sometimes there's, you know, very quiet couples who are having a special night out, and that's what this song is about. Okay, it's called Master of the Mood. I get here at 7 and head for the coffee machine, a little espresso to help me get up the spin. Sit at the piano, wonder what the night will bring. Turn out the CD, ready to play right now. Usual suspects, some new faces as well. Yes, I'm ready to play now. I've got a perfect melody. I keep it soft, I keep it sweet. I can be oh so discreet. I can scintillate and soon. And I'm not meant to be a star, but while I'm playing in the spa, I am the master of the mood. The gas on 11, closing a business deal. The negotiations call for a subtle feel. They'll be back later. Wanna jazz and blues from me. I keep it soft, I keep it sweet. I can be oh so discreet. I can scintillate or soothe. And I'm not meant to be a star. While I'm playing in the spa, I am the master of the mood. Calling last orders, the end of my working day. The moment I finish, then know that it's time to pay. I'll be back tomorrow to paint another background scene. I'll keep it soft, I'll keep it sweet. I can be so discreet. I can settle late or soon. And I'm not meant to be a star. While I'm playing on the spot, I am the master rapper. I keep it soft, I keep it sweet. I can be oh so discreet. I can sense a little soon. And I may never be a star, but while I'm playing in the spot, I am the master of the moon. Master of the moon.
My goodness,
Wow.
John, that was beautiful. You are master of the mood.
So, and don't forget, you can stream that on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, you know, so go ahead and
That is
download it, you know.
just beautiful. And when it says you are not the star, you in fact are the star. And lockdown has been extremely tough for musicians and the whole entertainment business. And we thank you for donating your time today, and just pray that things return to normal. And you just keep writing, because I think that is your thing. I mean, your own music is just, you're beautiful, and your passion for music is totally infectious. And we are deeply grateful to you. And we hope and pray that the next time we meet, it's in person, it's not on Zoom.
Of course.
And we can hug you. Because John Watson, you are a star. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Apparently, they are allowed to hug now in Vietnam.
Oh,
They're allowed to hug now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Andee and I are trying to do the 2 meter. We're about 1.5, but hey ho. But thank you, John.
Been my pleasure. God bless everybody. Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep healthy.
And you.